go to fibersort.eu.
Hello, thank you all for waiting and answering our initial question. We would like to welcome you to the Fibersort final webinar. So for those who do not know me from previous webinars, my name is Natalia. I work as a research analyst for this project. And here with me, sitting next to me, is Hilde. She is the project manager for the Fibersort Interreg Northwest Europe project. On the other cameras, you will start seeing as we move along all project partners that will be hosting this final webinar together with us. We would really like to thank you all for being here online, and really sincerely apologize for the event cancellation once again. These are uncertain times, and we apologize for any inconveniences we might have caused you. So as we are a large amount of participants today, we would like to ask you that you keep your camera off and your microphone muted throughout the webinar.
Today, we will have the opportunity to share with you key outcomes of the project, as well as experiences of the collectors, the sorters, the recyclers, and technology developers that made this possible, and learn more about how each one of us can contribute to close the textiles loop. There will be a space for questions to project partners after each section, so we encourage you to type questions into the chat box in Zoom, and make sure that you address those questions to everyone as the presentation is going. We will select some of the questions due to limited time, and we'll give you the floor to ask them live. All remaining questions that come into the chat box will be answered through a Q&A document that will be shared with you as a follow-up to this webinar.
So, the question on Menti was, how are you feeling today? And we asked you this at the start of the webinar, so thank you for all of the ones who managed to share. And we are, let's see what the outcomes of this initial emotions and feelings are. Whoa. Okay, great to see there's a lot of excitement. Most people are feeling good. There's hopefulness and some okay and fine, and also some frustration, some worries, some tired. So we really appreciate you being sincere about your emotions, and hopefully this webinar can provide you with the input you're looking for in order to turn this all of these feelings into further excitement and action moving forward, to continue working towards closing.
And for those that are tired, maybe to give you some more enthusiasm to continue your journey still.
Yes, where is this? Here. So, before diving into the outcomes of the Fibersort journey, we do recognize that the face-to-face event that had to be cancelled is also a great opportunity for all of us to get to know each other, to learn about others' experiences, the expertise and the needs of others. So while trying to keep some of this interaction alive in an online environment today, we are proposing the following exercise for all of you. So in the next 5 minutes, we are asking you to answer these 4 questions on screen. So who are you? Which stakeholder do you represent? What do you need from others? And what do you bring to the table? What can you offer others in this webinar? And we would ask you to answer all of these questions in the chat box in one message only. We have 3 amazing colleagues behind the scenes that you cannot see at the moment, but they will be working in integrating and clustering all of your answers to see if we can find offers and needs that match each other. So please only answer these questions if you're willing for us to share your name and email details with others at the end of this call. So we want to foster further offline interaction between all of you and see if you can find what you're looking for from each other.
Yeah, we already see the first contributions coming in, and I would really recommend you to use this opportunity. In these times, we don't have that many opportunities to see each other face to face, and we just offered you the opportunity to do kind of the exchanging business cards exercise, and and get connected to new people, but now online, and our colleagues, as we just mentioned, will actually facilitate this for us.
So we will give you 5 minutes of this webinar to do that, and then at the end we will take a closer look at what your offers and needs look like.
We still could see quite some coming in. Shall we just, otherwise, while people type, continue?
Yes, of course.
Yeah?
Yes, let's go for it.
Because so many people pop up.
We can see many responses coming in. We love that. Here our colleagues will be very happily integrating all of your comments.
Now let's deep dive into the Fibersort project.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. What brought us here today? Well, we are facing an enormous mountain of used textiles. In Northwest Europe alone, around 4,700 kilotons of textiles are discarded every year. Only 30% of these textiles are collected separately, and 70% of used textiles will be landfilled or incinerated directly with household waste. Of the 30% that is currently collected, a decreasing amount of textiles will be suitable to be reworn. Downcycling and incineration have been the only potential destinations of non-rewearable textiles until today. So we will now listen to Hans Ban, the director of Wieland Textiles, a major sorter in the Netherlands, who started looking for better destinations for non-rewearable textiles already a few years ago. It's a video in Dutch, so those who do not speak Dutch, do look at your screen so you can see the subtitles.
Als we een kledingstuk kopen, het 5 keer dragen en na 6 maanden afdanken, dan is textiel wel een hele grote vervuiler. Ik ben Hans Bon van Wieland Textiles en wij zijn al 30 jaar een van de grootste textielsorteerbedrijven van Nederland. 10 jaar terug zag ik eigenlijk wat een enorme vervuiler wij uit het Westen zijn, door onze kleding zo snel weer af te danken. Ik heb toen bedacht, laten we zoeken naar een oplossing waardoor we iets met al die niet herdraagbare kledingstukken doen. En uiteindelijk is daarna een zoektocht van een jaar of 10 de Fibersort uitgekomen. Die machine is in staat om materiaal te herkennen op grondstof en kleur en vervolgens dat apart te leggen. Zodat alle textiel niet meer herdraagbaar is, toch een tweede leving. Na het sorteerproces kopen klanten bij mij partijen materiaal op waar ze gaten van laten maken om die te verwerken tot nieuwe kleding. Ja, het is echt heel mooi. Voor mij is dat het samengaan van het circulaire met het financiële model. We hebben dat materiaal, we hebben die grondstof. Waarom zouden we al die grondstoffen opnieuw willen produceren? In principe zou het ook niet eens zo erg zijn dat er iets is wat fast fashion heet. Als je maar rekening mee houdt dat op het moment dat je het produceert, dat je het ook weer uit elkaar kan halen en dat je er opnieuw hetzelfde product van kan maken. En dan praat je niet meer over downcycling, dan praat je over circulair. Met Zaanstad en de provincie Noord-Holland zijn we op zoek gegaan of we dat hier allemaal lokaal zouden kunnen verwezenlijken. Er zijn zelfs ideeën om de textielindustrie hier naartoe terug te halen. We gaan hier binnen Zaanstad zeker de keten verder verlengen. Als we een kledingstuk kopen.
Yes, here we are again. So, as you just heard, the Fibersort journey already started over 10 years ago. At the moment, circular textiles were not yet a topic on everyone's agenda. Hans started looking into ways to sort textiles based on their composition and color, so they could be used as feedstock for textile-to-textile recycling. It is when he started joining forces with his friends at Valve and Baling Systems that the first versions of the Fibersort were developed. In 2014, a consortium of partners decided to join Wieland and Valve on their journey to make automated textile sorting a reality. Starting 2016, their joint endeavors received funding from the European Interact Northwest Europe program. The project partners aimed to commercialize the Fibersort by developing and improving the technology and assessing the business case for automated sorting technologies in Northwest Europe. Unfortunately, you will not be able to see the Fibersort live in action today. However, we are proud to announce, oh, there it is. However, we are proud to announce the Fibersort is now operational. It has a fully automated feed-in system and is now able to sort textiles into 45 categories based on their composition and color.
Great. So we would like to hear more from the men that are actually behind this innovation. So joining us today at the beautiful facility that was going to host the event at Untitled Textiles, we have Maurits van de Putte from Walbon Baling Systems and Mitchell Bon from Smart Fiber Sorting. Can you hear us?
Oh, they have to be unmuted.
Yes, we can. Hello.
Yes, there you are.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Right. Hello.
And maybe put the microphone a little bit closer.
Like this?
And
Hello.
talk in the microphone. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So first of all, we wanted to ask you, how was the journey from the idea to actually the facility that we have today? What difficulties did you encounter, and how did you overcome them?
Sorting textiles seemed like a very simple thing to do in the beginning, but very soon we realized that the textile stream is very diverse, and it can have all the sorts of colors, all the sorts of blends of textiles, and it makes the job very complex. So that made it a really challenging project for us.
Yes. Would you like to add anything to that, Mitch?
I really agree.
Please really talk in the microphone.
I really agree with Maurits, because it always looks so easy, but yeah, ongoing the process, you find out all kind of difficulties, and every time there is another hiccup to solve. So looks easy, but it isn't.
Yeah, but today it's working good to sort on 45 different categories. So we can sort a lot of. We are now running the machine with 15 different types of colors and 15 different types of fibers, something like that. It's running really nice, so we are very proud of the result. We never stopped searching for solutions for the problems, and today we have a machine that's ready to start producing a big volume of textiles that can be recycled.
Perfect. And if you look back 10 years ago, you look at the Fibersort today, would you say that all your dreams have come true?
Some dreams, not all.
And
and which are the professional dreams that have not yet come true?
The professional dream that I still have is that every new produced garment has included a minimum of 20% post-consumer material in it. That should be great.
Because would you say that is still your biggest headache, is to make sure that brands start using the sorted materials?
Sure,
Yeah.
they should.
Maurits, and for you, what are the dreams still to come, or what are the things that have already come true for you?
I think some dreams have come true, like the fiber prediction of the machine and the color scanning and sorting of the machine is working good. But we still see opportunities to make it better, to make it faster, to make it large scale. Yeah, we see a lot of. I still have a lot of dreams, maybe even more than we started, but for sure some have come true, and we have a nice result. So it's a happy day for us, I would say.
And maybe first remind participants they can ask you questions. So please add your questions to the Zoom text box. And while people do so, Maurits, could you maybe tell us a little bit more about this automated feeding system? Because it sounds, maybe, I mean, I've seen it, we've seen it, so we know what it is. But what does it actually mean? And also, what were the main obstacles to create such an automated feeding system? Because it sounds very simple, but I know it was more complex than that.
Yeah. Well, the automated feeding system replaces the manual sorter that was needed on the previous version of the machine. So now we have 2 robots on the line that can see where the robot has a camera that can see where the textiles are, and then it has a big arm of 2 meters in length to pick all the textiles. Difficult thing with textiles is that the pieces can be very long. If you take the sleeve of the textile, and then you have to go up very high to put it piece by piece on a scanning system. But now we have 2 robots running here in Wieland. Our ultimate dream is to build this machine with more than 2 robots to even further push the capacity of the production. Yeah. But yeah, basically the robot replaces the humans. For us, it's important in the Fibersort concept to put textiles piece per piece. It's because the stream is so diverse, we prefer to scan and sort piece by piece in a lot of different categories in a single pass. And that's the main focus, and that's why also we investigated a lot to have an automated feeding system for the line.
Yeah, and maybe just a quick question, because we get the question really often. Is the Fibersort for sale already?
Yeah, sure. I think so. Is it ready? Yeah, it's ready, but it will still improve. I think in 5 years' time, even we still will be improving the machine. It's a learning curve, and every new thing we add to the machine brings some new possibilities, but also some difficulties, but also creates opportunities for further developments. Yeah. So yeah, for sure it's for sale, the machine, but it's an ongoing process, and it will be improved along the while. And every week we make some progress, and we improve the quality of the sorted products.
Yes, definitely. So for any sorters or other stakeholders that might be on the line and interested in this technology, they can always contact Valvan to see what are the current performance of the machine and what is the potential in the coming 5 years of development. Maybe anything you would like to add regarding what you expect for the coming years, for the future of this technology and the industry?
Question for me? I think, yeah, and our focus will be to have it a cheaper process with higher throughput. But the main difficulty we still have is to know which categories we need to sort in, because there is still limited market. We can develop a lot, but without a lot of questions from the market, it's difficult to know where to focus on. So we focus where we think we can focus on, but yeah.
Perfect.
We have received many questions.
Yes, we have received many questions. We're just taking a look at them at the moment. So maybe we can hear the audience now and see what are their main concerns or questions about it. Maybe we can start.
That was last one.
Yes. So Roel Laban. I'm sorry, Dutch is still hard for me. Roel Laban, are you online? We would like to unmute you so you can ask your question to the partners.
Yes, hi. Can everybody hear us?
Yes, perfect.
Thanks for having us. It's actually my colleague Adriana who had the question, but we're very interested to learn a bit more about what the 45 different categories are.
Separation. Of course, you mentioned 15 with colors, 15 with types of fibers. Like, what are the rest of the categories?
I think for every type of fiber, we have some colors that are sorted.
Okay.
In color sorting, for example, we have a lot of black and dark colored textiles. Very few are strong colors, and we try to find a way that works for how to say, we try to find a solution that works for us and that's also good for Wieland to go to the market with the products. So today we sort the biggest streams of fiber into the biggest color groups we find in it, so that we can sell bales of fiber sorted product sorted also on colors.
No, I understand, but you just mentioned 45. So,
yeah.
Okay, so it's all 45. So you have 15 colors and then you have subdivisions.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by 3?
Yes, for example.
Okay. I understand now. Thank you so much. And amazing work, guys. Thanks for sharing this.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Great. And whatever question.
Okay, yes, maybe for those who haven't joined since the beginning of the project, good to reiterate this. So maybe Mitch, you could also answer to Debbie Appleton's question.
Sure.
We're gonna unmute Debbie now.
If we find her.
Yes, Debbie, can you hear us?
Does this work better?
Yes,
yeah.
Yes,
okay.
perfect.
I saw that you unmuted me, so I thought I was ready to.
We would
Thank you very much for the introduction. I was wondering if you could explain us a little bit about the process steps from beginning to end. So it's 3 questions in one, actually. What is the feedstock? What type of material and volume, and how do you accept it? What is the output? Like, is it fibers or bills? And what are the process steps? Like, how does it identify and sort?
So how the process starts is that we are sorting not rewearable clothings. At the moment, we can do knitted or woven, but it's important that it's not rewearable anymore. Why? Because selling still good wearable clothing is the best solution to recycle something. But yeah, when it's not wearable anymore, you put it in the machine. We like a piece of garment. It gets up to the scanners. We take a scan of the material, of the color, and we take a scan of a multicolor or a single color. And then the machine decides where to blow it off, in which bin. And then it's still a garment after that it's been sorted. So the next step then will be cutting and cleaning. So taking out the buttons and the zippers and the labels. And then a threading process to fiber can start.
Does that answer your question, Debbie?
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Great. So we will now move on to the next section. So thank you very much, Maurits and Mitch. And then all of the other questions that have been asked, as we said before, I'm sorry, will be answered through a Q&A document following this webinar. So all of you will get an answer to your questions.
Yeah, and maybe talking about questions, because at the start we asked you for the digital matchmaking to make sure that you include your need and your offer in the text box, including your name and company. Please do not forget to do so. And also, I mean, if you only include your name, then we will not be able to match your need with the offer of another and vice versa. So do not forget to do that. Our colleagues are still very much working on that as well. So let's move on. As you just heard, the technology is there to sort non-rewearable textiles based on their composition and color. However, numerous barriers remain to close the textiles loop. You see them illustrated here. So we are really facing a growing mountain of non-rewearable textiles. There is still very much a negative perception on recycled content, that it might, for instance, be of less quality or not worth the same amount as virgin alternatives. There very much is a lack of urgency to address the challenges of textile waste. Post-consumer textiles have an ever-changing composition. You never really know what you're going to get. That also applies to the chemical composition. So chemical materials that could be used in the creation of these textiles. You will not know the origin of post-consumer textiles. In the current situation with current infrastructure, the prices for recycled content are still higher than for virgin alternatives. And it was already illustrated by our panel before. We are not experiencing a market pool for non-wearable textiles. So as was referred to before as well, technology is there, but now we really need to market to start demanding these materials. And the challenge is we are facing a systemic challenge, and we will need all industry stakeholders to take action for technologies like the Fibersort to live up to their full potential. So let's now look at all the different stakeholders, and for all the stakeholders in the system of the textile supply chain, to see what barriers they are facing and what they can do to close the textiles loop. Starting with where it all starts, collectors and sorters. Collectors and sorters are struggling to secure a business case due to a growing amount of non-rewearable textiles in the context of a saturated second-hand market. Automated sorting technologies present an opportunity to turn this growing volume of textiles into feedstock for textile-to-textile recyclers, benefiting both collectors and sorters. We will now hear from two of the people that know all about this. On the call, we have Simon Smedinga, Operational Director at Reshare Salvation Army, a major collector of used textiles in the Netherlands, and Hans Boom, the Director of Wieland Textiles. You already saw him in the movie, a major sorter of used textiles. So Simon and Hans, I hope you're both unmuted. Maybe starting with you, Simon. Could you tell us why Reshare decided to join the Fibersort project back in 2016, or maybe even already before?
Thank you for the question, Hilde. It's awesome to be on the call, by the way. Thanks for that. What we saw in 2016 and the years before is that the amount of low grades in our collected originals was increasing tremendously. And we saw also that especially those materials that were not able to use in the wiper industry or and so on, went into landfill, or if we were lucky, it went to incineration. So you had the energy value of that nog. But being part of the Salvation Army, of course, our first interest is of the well-being of people. But secondly, one of the things that we are aiming for is stewardship for this earth. And incineration or landfill is not the way we would like to treat these kinds of materials. So that was mainly the reason that we have been part of this development of Fibersort. And this is, of course, besides the awesome project and also the technology involved, which was very motivating, to be honest. And also working together with the other project partners to bring it as far as we are today. So so the stewardship for this earth, and also such an awesome project like the Fibersort, is very interesting to be part of.
That's great to hear. Maybe moving to Hans then. Of course, well, we know why you are involved in the project. But just to sketch your vision a bit on how could automated sorting, so how could the Fibersort change your business? How do you see your business in 5 to 10 years? How will the Fibersort affect your operations?
Hilde, before I will answer your question, I would like to show all the participants who are not here how this place looks like and how it would have been different if you would have been here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yes, Mitchell will turn the camera so you can see a complete empty go down. Move it around a bit, Mitch. Let everybody see how empty it is, and how an empty conference hall looks like. And we worked our butts off
to make it something nice and big. And yeah, well, it looks a bit desolate when there is nobody here.
Yeah.
It's like playing a soccer game without public.
Yeah. I do very much appreciate it that you are on the stage that was actually built for the conference.
Yes, and this morning my staff already dismantled this stage, and well, we asked them to put it back together so we can sit here to at least to show everybody how it would have looked like when you would have been here.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the reason why it is the way it is now at the moment. Okay. That's for the place where we are. We are sitting on this stage. Behind us, you see some sorted rewearables ready to be shipped to the African market. Those are the colors. Those white bales are all recycling or Fibersort material, just as a decoration. Now to the question, what will change?
Yeah.
Automatic sorting. Well, actually, automatic sorting is at the moment just at the end of the process, because before we have feedstock for the Fibersort, we still have initial traditional sorting. So that means all these people still have to take every garment through their hands and sort for rewearable and non-rewearable. 50% of the sorted material is a non-rewearable garment, and out of these normal not rewearable garments, a part of it is mono material. These mono materials, either knitted or woven, are suitable for Fibersort and for circular a circular process in order to see if we can make new garments.
Can you very briefly explain to those who do not fully understand what a mono material means? What is a mono material?
Well, if you take a jacket and this jacket is wool on the outside, probably there is a polyester lining inside. That means it is a multi-material. So mono and multi doesn't mean it's a blend or no blend, because we are very capable of detecting blends, and all these blends are also sorted by the Fibersort machine. But a multi-material is a garment that exists out of multi-materials.
Okay, clear.
Different layers, yes, you could say that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe then back to Simon. Have all your dreams come true? So have all your dreams come true, and which barriers do you still encounter to realize them?
Now most of the dreams that I had in 2016 have come true, even more than achieved. When you look at the robotized entering the feed into the machine, and also color sorting is on a much higher level than we anticipated in 2016 when we started the project. So that's a dream that has come true even more. But I think when we would like to go from a linear system to a circular system, there are still a lot of dreams that we need to work on. One of the things is, besides mechanical recycling, I think there's a big task on the chemical recycling part, because there are a lot of materials in our collected original that only can be treated by chemical recycling, and for sure our partner One Again will elaborate on this in a few moments. But I think that's one of the dreams that we still have, is that if we want to make the industry a more circular industry, then for sure we need chemical recycling.
Yeah. And then moving maybe to Hans. Hans, have all your dreams come true, and which barriers do you still encounter to realize them?
Talking about my dreams, very interesting.
Professional dreams, not the cars or houses, or professional dreams.
Yeah. Well, let's say the stage we are in now with Fibersort is step number one. Mm-hmm. But of course, we need the market. We need the producers of all these textile garments. We need them with us. So if you're talking about dreams,
my dream at the moment is not here at Fibersort or at Wheel and Textiles anymore. Those dreams are fulfilled. Now we have to step into the market. The market has to see that we cannot go on creating a larger footprint, but we have to reduce our footprint. So that means that when we have cotton, we should not produce new cotton in order to replace the cotton that we already have. But we should add that cotton into garments so we can reduce our footprint. That's what this whole discussion is about. Use whatever you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that dream is not fulfilled yet.
No, there you will need others.
There we need others. Yes,
Yeah.
we need the industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We also have some questions from the audience. Oh, there. Oh, beautiful.
We prepared the slide.
We prepared the slide. The question from Susanna Schrik. Can we unmute Susanna? Hello? Yes, Susanna, you should be on.
Wait, there.
Yes.
There, I'm. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. Hi. Now, which question did I ask? I asked a lot of questions, or have thought of a lot since you started.
You asked a question on removal of trims.
Right. Yeah. So, because obviously anything involving robots leads some people to feel like their jobs are threatened, and a lot of fiber sorting is done in countries with low labor costs, and so I'm assuming trimmings are removed by hand right now. And do you plan to let that continue, or do you plan to let the robots take that over at some point? So.
You mean?
Maybe can you tell something about whether you have plans there? Trimmings, are they still removed by humans, and how do you?
Yeah, yeah, zippers and buttons, and buttons. You know.
Yeah, well, of course we did manual tests, but if you end up with the volumes we are facing, you cannot do that.
Yes.
It is very costly, and you're talking about huge amounts of garments that need to be buttons and zippers. You can't do that manually, so we have to develop machines that can take out this contamination fully automatic. And we are even looking at ways to get out the polyester labels from the cotton garment. That's a big issue.
Cool.
If you're talking about design for circular reuse, then you should stop putting polyester labels in cotton garments, or putting polyester labels in woolen or any other kind of garments. The labeling material should be the same as the material of the garment. And that would be a step forwards, because buttons and zippers are a hard, very well detectable material. We can use all kinds of techniques for that. But labels are also textiles, and very difficult to remove. So there we need the help of the industry. Stop putting polyester labels in cotton.
Yeah. And maybe because it's something that Susanna also touched upon, can you reflect a bit on the implications for jobs of a fiber sort?
I don't understand that question. I can't
so
hear.
If you have, so you're bringing a technology that is going to sort fibers based on their composition.
Yeah.
And a concern that we heard also more often in discussions is what that would do to, for instance, an organization like yours. You have 60 to 65 people employed. And what if you're now going to focus on only fiber sorting? What is that going to do to the amount of people you have employed at your facility?
Well, as far as I can see now, nothing, because the material for Fibersort is now going actually in the same composition to all kind of industries in the Far East. And that's something that we want to stop. We want to make clean material sorted on color, and to produce new garments out of those fibers. So it doesn't affect the sorting process here in Wormerveer at all.
Is that an answer on your question?
Yeah, I think so. It's just, you know, looking at the industry and how it is basically dominated by manual labor. It's interesting to see how things can change. So I think, you know, I think it's great to get massive volume of recycling done, because that's very important. And if it means, you know, having a machine remove the buttons, are the buttons and zippers still able to be resold or reused? Because I do have clients asking me about sustainable buttons and zippers.
Yes, of course, of course. If it's metal zippers, they can be reused, and same as the polyester buttons. So yeah, that's
cool.
That's a clean material.
Okay. Great. Okay, cool. Thanks.
Welcome.
Another question we want to ask?
Yeah, well, maybe looking into more about industry reaction so far, and what have you received as feedback so far from the industry? Have you seen already interest in this technology and in different partners integrating this technology also to their operations?
You asked that on me, to me?
Yes.
Well, of course, there is a demand from the textile industry. They also see that this pollution is only growing, and they also want to reduce the footprint. So yes, there is a demand, and that demand has not been here for many, many years. And we needed to push the material in the market. What we see now is that the market starts pulling on that material, which is absolutely a fantastic step forward. And the other part of your question, because you asked two questions, that one I missed.
No, it was about the industry, the reaction of the industry so far. Both questions were blended into one. They were both answered. Thank you very much. And
yeah, one moment.
Maybe to add to that is that what we see in the market is the reason that the textile producing companies looking at this project is because of the fact that feedstock for their products will be a problem in the future. So they need to search for alternative feedstock. And this is a brilliant development for realizing new feedstock for them. So I think the industry will be happy with this development.
We got an interesting question, Justina. Let's use it as the final one for this panel, from Rory on labels. Rory, maybe we can unmute you. You should be unmuted.
Hey, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Cool. It's actually Kathleen from Fashion for Good, masquerading as Rory. Just a question about the NIR technology versus labels. So you mentioned that if labels are done correctly, it'll give additional information around the fiber compositions. So assuming the label has all the correct information, what additional benefit will the NIR technology provide? Or is there a need for it? And if so, what's the use case?
Well, in general, let me start by saying that labels lie. So you can absolutely not detect the garment on what the label says. That's one. Secondly, you have any idea if you have 4 garments in a kilo, how many labor you need in order to read out whatever is on these labels? With the idea that labels lie, so labels are just a pollution in a garment. It doesn't mean nothing to us, those labels.
And if they were correct, let's say from tomorrow onwards, they correctly represented the information and they had a QR code that could be scanned, would NIR still be relevant?
Yes, it's still relevant because like what Mauri says, a lot of these labels are removed by the consumers. So if you want to fully automate this process without people touching those garments again, because that's very costly, it is about the detection of the material and the color. And these labels actually are only there for the consumers. And we ask the producers, the textile producers, to make these labels circular.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So
Thank
they
you very
don't
much.
pollute the garments, and the circular process that comes after this garment is not wearable anymore.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you to our panel, Hans and Simon. Let's move to the next step in the chain, the recyclers.
Yes, so recyclers really play a key role here in ensuring that post-consumer non-renewable textiles can be reintroduced as input into the textile value chain. Hence the availability of the textile-to-textile recycling technologies, their feedstock requirements, the market demand for materials containing recycled content. This needs to be fully understood, and the financial and the technical barriers still need to be overcome. So we have on our call Nicolas Duchy, Purchasing and Production Manager at Procotex, as a mechanical recycler based in Belgium, and Keith Wiggins and Merke Akkerboom, representing Wornigan Technologies, a chemical recycler based in the UK. So welcome. Can you hear us?
Oh, they should be unmuted. Nicolas and Marike? We still need to unmute them. Maybe you can
okay.
Oh, wait a second.
Thank you very much.
Oh, hey! I was just about to tell everyone in the meantime, while we also unmute Marike and Keith, that today we and Nicolas over there are wearing these beautiful sweaters that are made with fiber sorted outputs. So basically 60% recycled content from fiber sorted materials and have been developed by Procotex throughout the project. So now maybe Nicolas, you can start by telling us more about your journey through the project and how you reached these beautiful sweaters.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. Indeed, Procotex has been contacted to be part of the project to find out what we could do with the garments from the sorted fiber sort machine. So we tried first to open these garments into fibers which are long enough to respin. So we did this job here in Procotex with the machines we have here, which we also installed specially for this project. And okay, I think we can say that it was a quite big success. We succeeded in making very long fibers. We succeeded in making yarns out of wool, which had a content of 60%. So it's not only 20% as Hans or Mitch were saying. So we tried to increase the percentage of recycled content up to 60%. And we succeeded in making this yarn. Okay. Also with its problems that we had to solve then later on. So we had some yarn coming in, I will show you here, that we had to retwist because when we saw the yarn, when you unwind it, it was not really well twisted, and it gave a knitted fabric which was not good, which was not straight. And then by twisting, we could in fact eliminate the twist, and this was good for making straight fabrics, knitted fabrics. And then we started making some products like the pullovers you showed, or that you have. We made some gray, beige pullovers. We also made some scarves out of the same fabric, which showed us that the end materials which were coming out of the materials from the Fibersort machine were in fact very good materials, and in my opinion which are ready to sell in the shop.
And you mentioned the Fibersort very good input for your process. How does a technology like the Fibersort affect your operations as a mechanical recycler? What difference?
Let's say that Procotex is a recycling company since 25 years, and we were, let's say, about 5 years ago, we had a capacity of around 20,000 tons per year, from which around 6,000 to 7,000 tons were the cheap shoddies. We were saying, okay, it's an acrylic shoddy, which was going into the mattress industry. Mattress industry, when we think about mattress industry, we say it's cheap, and it's a material without any margin. And then for us, it could affect a new market. It could make a new market for us, because 5 years, 6 years ago, we said we will stop this market, because when the mattress industry is telling you at what price you can sell, then it's better to stop. And so we did so 6 years ago. And for this reason, when we were contacted from the Fibersort consortium to see if we could do something more, then we were really interested, because in my opinion, there is something more in it than making cheap shoddies. I think we could realize this dream to make a good fiber and to make end products. And in my opinion, there is a big future for this, these fibers that we can make on our machines.
Perfect. And you talk about this dream, so you've already answered our what have all your dreams come true question. But we were wondering if are there still any barriers that you encounter, or some action that needs to be taken as a next step in order to continue fulfilling these dreams?
Well, first of all, there are still a lot of dreams to come true. First of all, we have a lot of figures which we are missing today. It's a fact that the whole process of the fiber sorting machine had a strong delay. And it's only by the end of the project that we succeeded in finalizing the machine. And it's too early for us now to have a good idea what quantities and from each material we will get. Of course, the most interesting material will be the most expensive material. We are talking about 100% wool, 100% acrylic. The most expensive materials when you buy this on the market. So this will be the most interesting. The question is, what will we get out of this fiber sorting machine in 100% wool or in 80%, 20%? This we have to see in the coming months, and I hope we can be part of the investigation or the research to find the market for these quantities coming out of the Fibersort machine. Of course, the cheap materials like cotton, that will be more difficult. And in my opinion, we will also find most of this material sorted out of the machine. And this will be a big goal, let's say, to see what we will do with the cheap materials and with the expensive materials.
Perfect. Yes, as also Maurits mentioned before, that this is a long innovation process, and that the next, from now to the next 5 years, also the potential and the process will further develop. So in line with what you mentioned, Nicholas, now. and also talking about the different materials that recyclers can process and the focus of each of them. We also have on the line Marike and Keith. Are you there and can you hear us? We're working on.
Yay, hi.
There you are. There you are. Okay, so you're joining from Wornagen Technologies, a chemical recycler based in the UK. Thank you very much and welcome now to the camera scene. We would like to know first how a technology for you as a chemical recycler, how a technology as the Fibersort could impact your operations and business case.
Yeah, so I think actually before answering that specific question, it's probably a good moment to first explain a bit what we do, because I think there might be a bit of confusion in the audience where Fibersort machine stops and where recyclers start. So I think it's a moment for Keith to just give us a quick introduction.
Go for it.
No, it's a real privilege to be here because the work that the Fibersort team have done has been absolutely pivotal to the success of building a circular economy where Wornagen plans to be at the center. You know, our technology is, we're a technical company and our product is based on science, engineering of better solutions to the market. So what we focus on is a solvent selective enhanced recycling process for and specifically aimed at end-of-life textiles. So our technology captures the existing polymers which are in use and it reverts them back to their original form. And in doing that, it actually strips out the contaminants and the waste which is currently in used in the compounding of those polymers. So if you take yourself back to high school chemistry, it's dissolution and recrystallization, and we are aimed at that recrystallization of a better product coming out of our process. And our primary focus is on the most abundant and the most challenging fibers to recycle, which are polycotton, and so cotton and polyester mixes, which is a large part of the fast fashion textile supply chain and a burning problem which is out there for us to solve. So in answer to the question specifically, what we've gained out of the Fibersort project is we're moving towards a science and engineering based better solution to what is a very, very tough and heterogeneous market. And this is applying science to be able to get to find products which can then be addressed through various different recycling technologies which are out there. So, you know, Nicholas has described his model, and we would exist alongside that model, addressing some of the products which cannot economically and sustainably be recycled, along with the other technologies which are out there. And what we've really gained from the Fibersort project is an input specification, which is based on the materials which are currently in circulation and currently in need of a solution. And that for us has been a real key development point in the evolution of our company. And I would say without that scientific base, without the data, we wouldn't be able to focus our engineering plans to be able to address a defined input specification. So that the work that's been done by this team is fabulous and a key development step in recycling and a circular economy.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, I think going forward for anybody who is in this space, a machine like this is business critical for us. So when you ask me the question, what's the impact on your business case? Well, without a Fibersort machine, there's no business case, because for our process, it's important, as Keith just mentioned, for us, we need to know what's going into our process, and we cannot do that anymore by hand sorting. So the near infrared technology that enables us to give the understanding of fiber composition of a garment is what we need.
Definitely. And you mentioned all the value that came out from recognizing the feedstock specifications for your process, and that being a key part of what Warren again achieved through the Fibersort project. And I was wondering, what is next? What is coming next, and what barriers do you still have to overcome in order to realize your professional dream, as we were mentioning?
Okay, you're not going to ask us about our dreams, because we don't sleep much these days. I mean, there's so much to do, and this area of development is so exciting, and it's moving so quickly. You know, I think that when our dreams become reality and we start to see plants being built and these markets being captured, then we'll sleep better, and dreams will come true. But no nightmares, that's for sure. In terms of barriers, you know, we're looking to create a solution here, and the market is crying out for a solution. Consumers are becoming more aware of the provenance and the sustainability of the products that they buy, but they still enjoy looking good. They still enjoy the fashion industry. It makes their lives enhanced, and that's terrific that can be spread. And those same consumer motives or drivers are the same the whole world over. But if with the existing supply chain, materials are sent to Africa, then people in Africa can wear those products. Eventually there'll be an end of life. And when the end of life comes, you know, that's where our product could potentially lead to circular economies in devolved marketplaces. You know, the brands want it to happen. They are all under tremendous pressure with regard to their environmental credentials, and appropriately so. And subsequently, you know, an environmental and societal better solution needs to be developed. So the key thing for us is to create a market, and I think, as Hans mentioned earlier, a market for the Fibersort product, and that's only going to be done by collaboration through the supply chain, and it needs to be done quickly. We have to be prepared to take some risks and get started and develop by actually building plants and getting things moving quickly. It's never going to be perfect to start off with, but it's that ability to work together collaboratively to minimize risk and then show progress, moving this whole circular economy forward. And that for us is incredibly exciting.
Thank you very much. And if you would have to think about tomorrow, first action you need to happen, and that should be executed immediately, what do you say?
So it's which action do you call for from someone else? It should be executed immediately.
All right. Well, you know, the textile market, in terms of, if you look at the European Union legislation in the plastics area, it really is the most thought through, holistic, and legislation that I think in my working career I've seen. And I think if there's one thing to move forward on, is to work with the legislators to catalyze the supply chain in the way that it is doing at the moment. So if member states and the UK can follow that lead based on doing the right thing around collection, around logical aggregation of those volumes, and then build up the sorting industry and the recycling industries that go with them, then that would be, it needs a kickstart, and we're probably 2 or 3 years behind the plastics legislation. And if that could be brought through to include textiles now, that would be a key movement in terms of getting the feedstocks in place, which make these industrial processes investable.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. And we will go back to the policymakers role later on. So thank you very much, Marieke, Nicholas, and Keith. I think it's a very interesting part of this project is that we have recyclers with different processes that are focusing also on different types of materials. So you can really see that the Fibersort machine can cater also like different industries and different processes. We will take a look at what the audience is asking.
Many questions.
Many questions. Maybe it has been asked time and time again. Questions on elastane and spandex and its impact. Maybe we can have Lauren Greenwood unmuted.
Hi everybody.
Hello, hi Lauren.
Yeah, I was just very interested when the previous panel were talking about how the Fibersort machine itself deals with spandex, but also to one again. I know Keith mentioned polyester and cotton, but spandex is another a huge issue, and it's just very often blended or it's coating or whatever. So it'd be great to hear their feedback.
Any comments on both of the recycling technologies, on the impact that elastane or other blends can have on your processes?
Who are you asking?
Anyone who wants. I think we're asking you, and we're gonna ask one again.
Well, let me give the microphone to Moritz.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a technical thing.
Well, elastane is until now it has not been a big focus, and because we are focusing on the big streams and seeing how far we can get, and it's not an easy job. So we decided to not let us stop by the difficulties of detecting elastane and continue with detecting all the other fibers. But also the main difficulty we see is that finding good samples of pure cotton and cotton with a little bit of elastane is very difficult. A lot of cotton often contains elastane, and it's not always listed on the labels. So for us, we are looking for partners that can provide us reliable samples to run some tests on elastane detections, but we have not found people that can provide this yet. I'm not actively looking for it also, but if somebody can help us with that, that would be great.
Perfect. Thank you. And maybe on the impact on the recycling side, so maybe from Warren again, would like to hear how elastane impacts your process.
Sure. You know, elastane is a polyurethane polymer, and just to go into some more detail, I mean, what we learned from the Fibersort process was what are the most abundant fabric types which are in the market today, and that set the warn against spec, and we are focusing our process on that warn against spec, which is effectively, and there's obviously a lot more technical aspects behind this, but a 70-30 polyester cotton mix, which is abundant in the market. And that's because our process is focused on large volumes, and it will work best at large volumes. Now, as part of that mix, we know we're not going to get it perfectly, but if there's a 10-15% of other fabrics which go in, then that's where we're basing our technology. And elastane lycra technologies would be filtered out as part of the technology. Now, if the elastane and the lycra products became abundant enough, then we could develop a system for recycling those back to their original polymers in the same way as we're focused on polycotton. So yeah, we have to focus, we have to do one thing at a time and be successful in what we do. And it may be that the polyester, cotton, lycra elastane comes next on our development process. But at the moment, we can tolerate 10 to 15% as part of our polycotton process.
Thank you, and thank you, Lauren, for bringing up the question. We have also received a lot of questions on the specifics, fiber lengths and yarn counts achieved through the trials for these sweaters. So that we can probably take better offline so that we can share all the relevant details and not have Nicholas talking like 20 minutes about the specific fiber lengths. But we will make sure to share all of the relevant details in the Q&A doc. So thank you all three of you, and we will move on to the
ones not at the table.
Ones not at the table.
Yeah. So some stakeholders who are not represented in the Fibersort consortium, yet they will be key to close the textiles loop. An important one, of course, are brands and manufacturers. They have a responsibility and commitment to change their strategies and operations to secure a sustainable and circular future for the industry. Ensuring sorted post-consumer textiles find the end markets that would enable their cyclability into new textiles requires further awareness raising, consumer engagement, testing, and the use of recycled materials. You can get inspired by the actions taken by Gap and Loop Alive, there it is, yes, in our case studies reports, which you can also access online. And it was mentioned already a few times by Keith and also in the video with Hans Blom, that governments, they could play a pivotal role to move to a circular textiles industry. Policymakers at all levels have an operational, regulatory, and legislative role to play to ensure collected textiles find a suitable destination, as waste management is a public responsibility. Creating a conducive environment for textiles requires the deployment of regulatory, economic, as well as soft instruments at all levels of governments. You can access, here again, our full analysis and recommendations in the project's policy recommendations reports, which you can also download on the website. And you will find the inspiring example of Surplus Berkel on what municipalities can do in our, here it is, again, the case studies report. That was the commercial. And then, last but not least, consumers. The impact of consumption and disposal practices of textiles is not widely known amongst consumers. The responsibility of citizens to correctly dispose of their textile waste, as well as the opportunity for consumers to drive the industry to use recycled content in their products, is substantial. The interrelationship between consumers, brands, and municipalities may be key to ensuring the success of closing the loop on textiles. So we can imagine the amount of information we published in the past years, and all the stories shared in this webinar have been overwhelming. And as you might be wondering what call to action we actually had for you specifically. We have therefore created a website, there it is, fibersort.eu, which summarizes the performance of the Fibersort technology. It shows the potential of the Fibersort technology to, reduce the mountain of used textiles. It outlines the barriers that we are facing. Well, here's the Fibersort, you can see it all. And then it outlines the different barriers that we are all facing. So you can identify as one as the stakeholders. You will see the barriers that we identified for you. And then you can find the recommendations that we have for you for your organization to play a role. You can also find all publications released during the Fibersort Interact project, videos of the project partners, as well as useful links, and of course, all the links to our project partners, because our project might be ending today, but of course, we will all continue our work, and we're very eager to work with other stakeholders in the industry to make this transition to a circular textiles industry happen.
Thank you.
Let's go back to the presentation.
And maybe well, just before we ended, we wanted to take a look at what has been happening on the back end of this webinar. I know here our colleagues are still working very hard on getting the outcomes of your interaction, of your online interaction together. But maybe just before we go into that, we can hop on to the next while they're finishing. So what are we asking from you as well? Like this call to action, we have developed a social media campaign with messages for each relevant stakeholder that we have mapped through our website and also through all of our recommendations. And this social media package will also be shared with each one of you at the end as a follow-up to this webinar. And we encourage you to really use it in your communications to bring more people along to close the loop on textiles. And we have an announcement to make, and that is that the most creative post of this campaign will be awarded a limited edition Fibersort sweater in size and color of choice. So start posting, and we look forward to making the final selection and being in touch with you. And going back,
let's have a look at all the matchmaking.
This is a live interaction.
Quite exciting for all of us. I need, there it is. More details about the Fibersort.
So we have different, this is ongoing at the moment, and we will share a document with all of this information and these insights and the possibility to contact each other. But what we are creating here is we have a color legend for each type of stakeholder that is involved. So we have sorters on the call, we have textile collectors, we have recyclers, brands, manufacturers, policymakers, and even consumers, or us from a different role as consumers. And each one of you today in the call has shared insights and needs, for example, more information and insights on the Fibersort itself, but also about sorting. We need further contact with solution providers, and I think once the what do we have to offer is concluded, I think we will also have the opportunity to see how the solution providers offer and needs come together, and that will be the magic of this living document that we will share with all of the ones that have submitted their answers today. So looking forward to how this all finally looks like.
Oh, no, I don't want to go here. Yes,
there we are.
So, with the launch of the world's first automated sorting facility in Wormerveer and the publication of our recommendations on the project website, we reach the end of this Interact project. It is a milestone. On behalf of all project partners, I would like to thank you, all the participants on the call, for your active participation in the project throughout the past years. The industry interest in the project exceeded our expectations, which illustrates the urgency and the willingness to turn non-rewearable textile waste into resources. Also, of course, want to thank all the project partners for the collaboration in the past 3 years. It has been a journey, a very pleasant one, I think, with an outcome we can all be very proud of. Now it's a goodbye online, but we'll of course make sure once we're all cleared to travel again and to meet again, that we can maybe even shake hands and conclude the Fibersort project live. For the participants, do not forget to have a look at what you can do on the website fibersort.eu and share our message to other industry stakeholders to ensure all can play their role. Starting today, the technology to close the textiles loop is there. And now it's time to act. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
I hope everybody can stay healthy and safe.
Yeah.
Thanks for hosting us.
Thank you. Super.
Thank you all.